everyone, welcome to my chat with Ashley Walters. I'm Hannah from Backstage. We did try and do this yesterday, but we had some technical issues with Instagram. So if you did log on to have a look at my chat with Ashley and saw nothing, that is why. We pre-recorded this session earlier today just so we could make sure we could get it recorded and put it out to everyone this afternoon. So I hope you enjoy it. We're talking about Ashley's career overall, and we start our chat with a conversation about how lockdown life is treating him, as many conversations begin these days. So please enjoy.
And it's kind of given me that space to kind of really understand what's going on in my house. You know, up until 3 months ago, I didn't know where the knives and forks were kept, or nappies or anything else like that. So now it's like I understand my home. Well, I think that's been good for me.
Yeah, I think there's definitely going to be positives for most people to come out of this, even though it's been quite torturous at times. Like for us to work and live with a bit more of a balance, or like see what's needed in our own household, I've definitely learned a lot. So I feel you with all of that. Are you, was there anything cancelled for you with filming or anything?
Yeah, 100%. So I just made it. We just finished shooting a 3-part special for Bulletproof in South Africa. So I got off a plane from South Africa to London, and I think it was like 2 days later or something like that, they locked us down.
Oh, no,
and that was it. Yeah. So, and you know, I was quite happy that I got to come back home, because actually I could have been put in a position where I couldn't fly. So but actually we were meant to start shooting the next season of Top Boy in, I think it was last month we were meant to start, but that's been pushed back now. So yeah, I mean, I pretty much have been, everything's been shut down for me. I was just about to start shooting my first short film. I was directing a short film for Sky Arts, and that was my directorial debut. So it was a big thing for us at our company. You know, it was all through our own production company and Sky in conjunction. And the day after, I had a meeting with my DP about our shot listing. Sky shut us down. So,
oh my God.
You know, so we're just waiting now.
That's something I was going to ask you about, actually. So it's called Boys, right?
Yeah, that's correct. Yeah.
Right. So could you tell us what it's about, or is it under wraps?
No, it's not under wraps. I mean, I can give you a brief overview. It's I've grown up obsessed with 80s movies, and one of my biggest films is The Goonies. Mm-hmm. And I've always every time someone sends me a script, I'm always looking for like that element, you know, something that kind of reminds me of that. And actually, this guy that we work with, Jerome Holder, who wrote the script, he sent us this script, and for me, it was like, you know, it was set in a world I'm really familiar with, but the journey of these two, our lead protagonist, is one that reminds me of those old days, and it's just a story about these two boys. Literally, you know, his brother's been incarcerated in the beginning of the film, and his brother it gives him a list of things that he would like whilst he's in jail, and it's about these two young kids, these two 16-year-old boys, just going on a journey to complete this list for their brother. And more than that, I suppose, you know, it's about understanding that the cycle can be broken. And, you know, by the end of this movie, these two boys are adamant that they will never go to prison because of the effect that it's had on them, and, you know, how it's affecting his brother. And I just thought it was an amazing journey. It's nice to see, you know, it's called Boys because essentially we look at a lot of these kids, and I say kids because they are kids. We look at them like, you know, sometimes we treat them like they're more than that. And that's not me trying to be offensive, but I feel like, you know, just because you wear a hood or you dress a certain way or whatever, actually, you know, you're looked at as like, you know, as someone that is causing a problem and whatever. When in actuality, a lot of these people, it's just fashion for them, you know what I mean? And at the end of the day, they're really good people deep down inside, but it's hard for us to see that because of all the images that we're bombarded with on the media and whatever. It just kind of makes you think of certain things. So it's just about breaking down those barriers. But essentially, the story is a kind of a warm-hearted one, and I think people will enjoy it. I'm really looking forward to directing it.
That sounds really lovely. What do you think? Is directing something that you've always wanted to do? And like, what has made you at this point move into it? And are you hoping to do more?
Yeah, 100%. I think I think it started from necessity. It started at a place where I realized that, you know, in order to get the work that I wanted to have or play the roles that I wanted to play, I am going to have to produce, I'm going to have to write, you know, and come up with my own ideas. So it started with that. And then recently I've really realized I've worked with some really brilliant directors, Sam Massoud being one of them. He's one of our directors on Bulletproof. And he, you know, one day he just broke it down to me. He's like, what do you want to see? And I was like, what do you mean? And he was like, you know, just imagine there is a woman standing on a boat in the middle of the sea. What's the woman wearing? And I was like, well, she's wearing a summer dress, yellow summer dress, and like a nice hat. And what direction is the boat going in? And I was like, well, it's going like north. And what does the boat look like? And he just asking me questions like that. And when he'd finished asking me and I finished answering, he was like, well, you just directed your own film.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, yeah. Actually, yeah, it is. You know, directing is about the way you want to see things, you know, what your perception of it is, everyone's opinion will be different. Everyone will have different ideas or perspectives. But, you know, when you get to direct, that it becomes your perspective and the way you want to see things. And I'm interested in that. I'm interested in being creative in that sense and having some creative control over the projects that I'm involved in. And I just feel like directing is a natural progression for that.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, to your point, I think so many directors and actors and, well, creatives start out and are worried that their voice is invalid or like they should be doing things in a certain way. But when you actually connect to what you actually enjoy watching, chances are somebody else is going to enjoy that as well. So that's such a good exercise to do.
Yeah.
So let's talk about Bulletproof, not Bulletboy.
Easy mistake. It happens all the time.
I know. Well, you've got Bulletboy, Top Boy, Bulletproof. So Bulletproof.
It's so confusing. I know. It confuses me. Trust me.
So Bulletproof. So talking about, you know, producing your own work, how did that process start for you? Because I know that you wrote the first few episodes, right? And you produced the show. So
basically, me and Noel came up with the concept, the idea. So it was like 8-9 years ago, something like that. 8 or 9 years ago, not 89. We sat down in a Starbucks or something like that. There are other coffee shops, and we sat there and just basically said, you know, tell a lie. The night before, I'd come up with an idea. So I'd written on a piece of paper, you know, 2 cops, 2 black cops, London, undercover, badass, guns, car chases, explosions, etc. That was kind of the original idea. And then sitting down with Noel, who was already an accomplished writer, already an accomplished director at the time, and producer, he kind of gave it a bit more flesh. And it went from there. And literally, you know, we came up with the idea for the show. We wrote down the beats, we wrote down, you know, where we wanted the journey to go. And then after that, it kind of sat on the shelf for like 7 years, literally. And I actually, you know, me and Noel had, you'll hate me saying this, but we had a few confrontations about it because I didn't understand producing at the time. I didn't understand creating my own work at the time. I was solely just an actor. And he understood the ins and outs of the industry, and some of the systemic racism that is in the industry. And it just wasn't that easy, you know. And I used to ring him like 5 in the morning. What the hell is going on? Where's our show? Like, what's happening? You just made a film the other day and you're not making our show. Why? What's going on? And we had that kind of battle for a bit. But then I soon realized that he was doing the right thing, because he was being asked by people that he was presenting the show to change one of us to be, one of the characters needed to be white in order for the show to be green lit. And his stance was, well, then that that show goes to the grave with me. You know what I mean? It's not going to happen unless it's the way that me and Ash want it to be. So anyway, long story short, I think it was Ann Mensah, who was then at Sky, but she's now at Netflix. But she had asked Vertigo, who's the production company that we partner with for the show, for a show like ours, pretty much. And they'd had that sitting in the drawer for like years. And they were like, what about this one? And literally it just took off from there. You know, we had our meeting, jumped in, and it just went from there. So we have in the beginning you said that we wrote the first 3 eps. We didn't. We brought on board Nick Love, who was a partner of Vertigo, and you know him from The Business and all the other films that he's made. So we brought him on board, and he kind of headed up the writers' room, which kind of consisted of like 5 other writers and myself and Noel. And yeah, I mean, it just went from there. You know, that was season 1. Season 2, we both wrote on. I think Noel wrote 2 eps, I wrote 1. And we'll be writing a lot more on this season as well.
Amazing. So Bulletproof is out now on Sky, right? And Now TV?
It's out now on Sky, Now TV. I think it's going to air tomorrow, which is the 10th, if I'm right, Wednesday the 10th, on CW in America, and Canada as well. That's
great, because a large part of our audience are US based. So I'm really glad that that's coming out tomorrow. So this will be coming out, this chat will be coming out on the 9th. So tomorrow is perfect. So everyone needs to go and watch it. It's just pure entertainment. And do you know, at the moment as well, it's perfect for like a bit of escapism, because I think we're obviously all stuck in our houses. Number one, it's great to watch something that's like proper binge worthy, that you can just go from episode to episode and be taken away with that. But also, like, it does give you a bit of time out to watch something and not feel like, I don't know, it's just escapism.
Yeah. I mean, you don't need to have, there's no takeaway from this show. There's not, you know, there's not a message that we're trying to push or whatever. It's just some clean, harmless fun. You know what I mean? And I think all we try to do, I think if there's anything that we try and make sure that happens with the show, is that we represent ourselves correctly, and that, you know, we're not, this whole thing has been built on kind of just solid black male role models, and just understanding that we are, you know, as being part of the media and being part of the movement that is shaping what the media is, especially for black people in the UK. It's important that we address certain things. And, like, you know, as much as I love Top Boy, you know, I'm the biggest fan of that show, and it does what it does. But there is another world. Do you know what I mean? There is everything doesn't have to be about that life. You know, there is another world, and it's really empowering to see young black boys wanting to be Bishop and Pike.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? And wanting to kind of, you know, emulate those sort of characters. And like Noel always says, like back in the day, we had Knight Rider. And, you know, when you were in school, as the black kid, all you could be was the car.
Yeah.
You could never be the. Do you know what I mean? So it's just nice that kind of, just to bring a bit of that Americanized sort of just harmless fun to TV.
And I really do love all of that as well. And you know, you say there's, the takeaway from it is the story behind it for me. And there's no better time to be discussing these things than right now. And I know that a couple of weeks back you did post something out. So I just wanted to ask, within the context of our industry, because I think there is a lot still to be, well, I know there's a lot still to be done in terms of casting and the acting training system, and just opportunities and visibility on our screens. So I just wanted to touch upon that and see if you thought of anything that we should all be doing right now.
I think, you know, it's so difficult to say because there's so many things that need to change, but I'm pretty adamant, I'm pretty sure that on a whole, you know, overt racism is very low. You know what I'm saying in that sense? You know, I no longer walk down the street and feel like, you know, have people shout racist slurs at me or anything like that. It's not happening like that anymore. But what we have is a system that is just built wrong. We have a system that is just, you know, is built for certain people and people that look like me to find it really hard to get anywhere. And that's what we have to change. But I think that's going to come from us being willing and able together to understand that we have to strip that system down and create a new one that is, that, you know, is for all of us. And these systems and these traditions were created when Black people weren't around. You know what I mean? We didn't have the same sort of foothold, or, you know, we weren't in the same position that we are now. And I just feel like just moving forward, that has to be accepted. And unfortunately, for a lot of white people, they will find that hard to understand because they've been born into something that's just always been that way. And that's the way the system has always been. And, you know, there are a lot of people that are standing in solidarity and speaking out about it 100%. And, you know, that's needed. But what actually has to happen is that I feel like white people need to start questioning each other a bit more about what's going on. As much as we're gonna protest and we're gonna stand up for these matters, the people in power and the people that create the systems are the ones that need to make some new decisions right now. And that's kind of where we need to start. But obviously it's gonna be incremental, it's gonna take a long time. It's taken a long time for it to be this way, so it's gonna take a long time for it to be undone.
Yeah. And you know, to your point there with, you know, opportunities within the industry, I know a lot about your work with Kingdom Drama School.
Yeah.
And you know, as you know, a lot of our audience are actors, and I think you do such incredible work. So could you just tell us a bit about Kingdom Drama School?
Yeah, Kingdom existed before I got involved. It was started and founded by my business partner, Najan Ward. He created this drama school because he was an actor who struggled in the beginning of his career. And as much as he wanted to go to places like RADA and to Lambda, you know, the top tier drama schools in the UK, he couldn't get past the audition stage. He couldn't get through because it's so rigorous. It demands that, you know, you understand Shakespeare and you understand all sorts of things that for a lot of people, they don't have access to and they've never had access to. Do you know what I mean? And it kind of makes it quite elite, that whole process of getting through. So the whole idea with Kingdom was to make a school that gave the same education to actors for a fraction of the price without all the holdups and the red tape that you have to go through to get in. And that's what Kingdom was. So when Najan came to, you know, he'd already been running the school for 5 years or something like that. And then he came to me. I'd been working with the school. I'd done a few master classes and stuff like that. But he came to me and he was just like, you know, I want to make it bigger. I want to make it better. I want to connect the students to the industry. And I want to bridge that gap. And how do we do it? And I had loads of ideas how to do that. But, you know, first and foremost, I just understood by attaching myself to it would make that process a lot easier. So it started off with me doing that. But then it became, you know, when I actually went there and I saw the students and I spoke with them and I realized actually how difficult this industry is. You know, I knew, but I didn't realize how bad it was. It just made me more determined to make this school everything that it could be. And, you know, that's what we strive for. So, yeah, we have this drama school now. It's been running for nearly a decade, and we have some amazing students. But I think the USP for us is that there's no age limit here. You know, there's no ageism, there's no sexism, there's no racism. All of this is about, if you were driving a bus for 15 years and then the next day you just wake up and you decide that you want to try being an actor, come to Kingdom.
Yeah.
It's as simple as that. You know, you can have your shot there, and we're going to treat you like we treat everyone else. But more importantly, all of our tutors are from those top tier drama schools. So they're either teaching at those schools already, or their mentors there, or they've just finished there, or whatever. So what you get is you're going to get that top tier education at Kingdom. You know, you're going to be taught in the way that some of the greats have been taught, but just without the pressure.
Yeah. And also it looks to me as well, like you've got all of that great grounded training in what it is to like refine your craft, but also it seems like you're providing actual real life after you finish training, advice based around how you can actually enter into the industry and what it actually looks like in practice, which I think is some things which might be left out of certain courses.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, that's the whole thing. It's like, what's the point if you train for a year or you train for 3 years or whatever, and then after it, you can just never work? It just doesn't make any sense. Do you know what I mean? Especially if you're really good and you're talented and you deserve to be on the screen. So directly, you know, we cannot, there's no way in the world I can get every actor that goes through Kingdom School into a job or into work. But 100% the people that we are constantly, you know, we have people in there that are constantly looking for the bright sparks, for the people that are excelling way faster than we expected or whatever. We're always looking for them. And those people, we're constantly trying to put them closer to the industry. So whether that be by, you know, we have a monologue jam at the end of every term where our panel will be made up of casting directors, actors, or whatever. And in the audience will be agents, casting directors, and whatever. And I make it very clear, like, you know, that I want people, you know, anyone that supported me, they should come there and have a look at the talent that we've got. And off the back of that, people have got work, they've got agents and whatever. And, you know, that whole process is working.
Well, it's amazing the work that you've done there, and I think it's so important. So how can people find out more about that? What's the website? Do you know?
KingdomDramaSchool.com. Just go to Kingdom Drama School, or Instagram. We're quite active on Insta as well. Or if you need to DM me. I suppose it's easy to say it because there's no one else really like us, but we are quite unique in what we do in that sense. I think like if there was any other comparison, it would only be identity, but I feel like they do things slightly different than us. I'm a big fan of Femi's. So, you know, a lot of our business model initially was kind of based on the great work that they've done. But yeah, Kingdom Drama School online, on Instagram and socials as well. The info's all out there.
Amazing. So I want to dive in a little bit to your how you started out in the industry. Am I right in saying that you went to Sylvia Young classes when you were younger?
Yeah, I did. Yeah. I started at Sylvia Young Drama School. So initially, my older cousin was there, and my mum became his chaperone because my auntie was working. So I ended up being like literally just dragged on a weekend, Saturday or whatever, to these classes where my cousin would go in for a few hours and we'd wait around and get lunch or whatever in Marylebone. And it just made sense that I joined as well. And that's kind of where it all started for me. I remember kind of being dragged along to an open audition for, I think it was Children of Eden at the old Vic Theatre. And there was thousands of kids there. My mum had taken my cousin, and the guy was like, that was doing the auditions, he was just like, you might as well just put him in because he's here. It's an open audition. Put him in. They put a number on my top, on my chest, and they made me sing Happy Birthday on stage. And I sang Happy Birthday on stage in front of all these guys sitting in the seats in the stalls and that. And I got the job.
Wow.
My cousin was so upset.
I was going to say, so you took the job from your cousin?
Yeah, to this day he holds it against me because he's like, that should have been me. I
don't blame him. Is he an actor now, or is he doing something else?
No, he's not. He's far from an actor.
Actually, you took his life away from him, basically.
Pretty much.
So you worked on a few things when you were younger. I think you were in the Young Indiana Jones Chronicles and Grange Hill, right?
Yeah, correct. Yeah.
Great. And then obviously a lot of us know you from So Solid Crew. So you're still producing music as Asher D, aren't you, now?
I am, yeah. I'm still making. I mean, music for me has been something that I've never stopped. I've always continued to do because it's more therapeutic than, about success or whatever else. And it's always been a way for me to talk about my personal problems under a guise of an alter ego, I suppose. You know what I'm saying? But you get to kind of, express yourself in a way that I can't as Ashley Waters, just in general on my, my platforms or whatever. So that for me, music has been a thing that's always been a huge part of me. And I find it really difficult to not do it. But I'm like that, that's Ashley, and it's a part of my life. I'm never going to stop until I feel like I've won the battle I'm trying to win. And that's as a solo artist, as a member of a collective, as a member of So Solid, we had huge success. Some of it is still unrivaled. You know what I'm saying? When you look down the line, but as a solo artist, I've never felt recognized. So it's just one of those bees that I have in my body that I'm like, it has to happen for me.
Yeah.
So, I'll probably be 60 years old still putting out hip hop.
Yeah, why the hell not though? And also, like, if it is a form of expression for you, like, obviously we see you in so many great productions where you're playing a role, but as you say, you can fully express yourself in music, and I think that also feeds into how you express yourself when you're acting. It's all an exploration, so I think carry on. For sure.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it.
So then just moving through your career, obviously you had great success with Bulletboy, which I've got to say is an absolute masterpiece in my eyes. It's such a beautifully done piece of film, but also your performance in it is amazing, and you won the Newcomer Award with BIFA for that. So that's not even a question. I'm just letting you know that I love it.
Oh, thank you. Appreciate it.
And Top Boy, so over 10 years, you've played the same role. Remind me where you are at the moment. So you're just about to film the next series, or you've just done it?
So we're hoping to start shooting season 4 for the masses. For people that have just jumped onto it now, it's season 2 via Netflix. But yeah, we're about to start shooting in September.
And how do you feel like, I mean, you're playing the same role for 10 years in a performing capacity. How has your mind changed, or has your way that you approach the role changed over the 10 years? And in what ways do you think that is?
Yeah, difficult one, I suppose, because we had that really long hiatus between the Channel 4 and the Netflix scenario. So for me, there was a small part of maybe 3 years out of the 6 that we weren't on the screen that I gave up on the show. So I had no, in my mind, I was like, actually, I'm never going to be Deshane again. It's never going to happen. And I gave up on it. So I kind of walked away from it in that sense, like in my mind. But before that period of time, I was adamant that it would be back, and I was out there fighting for it on a daily basis. A lot of people don't know, I spent many a week and days in offices with a lot of big wigs talking about how we get the show back on the screen, and who owns the rights, and what's this and what's that, or whatever, to no avail at that time. So it's just like been such a big part of my life. It's just been, it's been one of those things that wherever even if you want to put the character down, even if you want to put the show down, you can't, because it's so loved in London. It's so loved in the UK. You could try and walk away from it, but you just can't. And that's what the whole thing was. So every day I looked on my Twitter, every day I looked on my Instagram, someone was talking about Top Boy, like literally every day for 6 years that the show wasn't on. It was like someone's beef. It was someone's thing. Someone was referring to it. or whatever. And it just made me know that it's like, it's done more than just be a great TV show. It actually, you know, touched people in a sense. And it was the first show of its kind to deliver a really realistic portrayal of, you know, the world that we were trying to show.
Yeah.
And I quickly realized that when I would be out on the street, and some of the most, you know, prolific, notorious gangsters and people that, you know what I mean, you usually wouldn't be around or whatever, were praising me for my performance. And I feel like, for me, that was the benchmark. That was like, okay, so I've been portraying these people's lives, and absolutely, like, usually 99% of the time, you have people saying that you done it wrong. You know what I mean? You didn't represent them properly or whatever. But that part of our community were championing the show. They were like, yes, finally, you're portraying me in the right way. Do you know what I mean? It was a huge thing. And I think that's what penetrated the country. That's what penetrated London. But going back into it, it's just like, it's just easy. The minute you get on set, you know, we made sure that we created an environment that it couldn't be exactly the same, but it was as close to what it was in the beginning when we started. That's what we felt we needed to do. No bells, no whistles, no huge amounts of money in the show, whatever. You don't want to see like crazy production value on the screen. We just wanted to recreate the environment that we had before, and the process. And I'm kind of going off point, but I think my biggest, you know, what I love about the show the most is the process, the casting process.
Yeah.
And the fact that only 20%, if that, of our working actors, you know, that have acted before. Everyone, majority of the people in the show are newcomers. And it's lovely to see after every season, these people get agents and go off and start, you know, working in other jobs. And, you know, you look at Michael Ward now, you look at Jasmine Jobson, up for a BAFTA Best Actress, and, you know, got her agent in the States now and whatever. And before they weren't, you know, they weren't doing exactly what they're doing now. So just the whole process of the show and what it's about or whatever just means so much to me. And I just think it's just a great piece of work.
It really is. It does stand aside from a lot of British TV that we see, and its authenticity. And it's Des Hamilton cast Top Boy, isn't it?
Correct. Yeah.
He's my favorite casting director, if I can be a fangirl for a minute. But his process is so impressive across all of his films. But Top Boy, as you say, the opportunities that he's been able to give to people who might not have seen themselves as actors before, even, you know, he cast people off the street, is amazing. And what incredible talent. And the way you all work together as well is amazing. It's so good. So
yeah, it's beautiful experience. Beautiful experience. The only downside sometimes, and Kane's gonna hate me for this, but he's like, he's the most. I mean, he's a method actor. So he's constantly in character.
Right.
And sometimes that can be difficult.
Yeah.
Sometimes it can be difficult. I like a laugh and a joke. So when I'm on set with Noel, we hardly film anything in a day because we are just like cracking up, improvising, saying different things.
It
whatever.
translates to screen though, like you and Noel in Bulletproof. I can so imagine you having such a laugh on set. So it's so lovely to see.
It's amazing. Nah, it is amazing. It's actually like, it is such a joy to wake up and go to work, because you're just like, you're just cracking up all day. You're just in stitches. The cameraman, the director, everyone is just like rolling over, laughing. And that's every day for us. And we always make a point of, excuse me, kind of just making it trickle down. So, you know, when we come in the morning, we fire the director. Do you know what I mean? As a joke, we'll be like, listen, you're fired, get out, or whatever. And, you know, and we just like to keep on continuously just breaking the barrier of we are the bosses and everyone else, you know what I mean, works for us or whatever. It's just like a real team effort. There is no hierarchy. Everyone just does their job well, what they
Yeah.
do well, and we enjoy it. But yeah, I mean, Top Boy sometimes is not like that. But as you would expect, you know, the subject that we're dealing with, and you know, what the scenes are about, require some sort of sensibility, I
Yeah,
suppose.
right. Exactly.
Yeah.
The tones match the set. Those are always the best sets to be on, though, where everybody, there's, like, as you say, like, no hierarchy, and everyone's just there to create good content and have fun, because it's so intense. How long are you normally shooting Bulletproof for, a series?
So on average, I mean, we'll do like 6 to 7 months. So it's a long, it's a long period of time. You know, where you're just with you're with these people more than you're with your own family, and you become family. And there's times you don't want to speak to people, and times you do, and this person doesn't like that person for that week, and this and that, or whatever, and it goes back and forth or whatever. That's just life. But in order to get through things like that, you have to give yourself goals. You have to give yourself freedom. I watched recently The Last Dance.
Oh, yeah, The Last Dance.
The Michael Jordan documentary.
Yeah.
And it just, you know, one of the key things I took away from it was that he would actually create goals for himself that didn't even exist. So he would pretend that someone said something to him that upset him, in order for him to be vengeful enough the next time round when they were playing, to, you know, to be angry enough to kind of, to get that emotion out on the court and stuff like that. And, you know, I see that, you know, I see myself I do the same thing. You know, you're always trying to find ways to make it mean something to you. Do you know what I mean? And sometimes you have to give yourself that impetus. You have to give yourself that motivation.
Yeah, for sure. It's every day working. You're never going to reach. I mean, if we're talking about this right now, and obviously with the career that you've had, it just goes to show, you know, especially to actors who watch these videos, the goal will always move. You're never going to, you know, you'll reach a point and then there'll be the next thing and the next thing. So.
Yeah, I always say to people, especially my students at the school, I'm like, you know, 80% of everything is no. It ain't going to happen. You ain't going to get there. It won't work, whatever. You got to live for that 20% and not worry about that 80%. Do you know what I mean? You have to, you know, you have to set those goals for yourself. You have to set those boundaries, man, and try and break them all the time. The minute that you go, yes, I made it, that's when you're on your way down, in my opinion. That's when you're going back to rock bottom, because, you know, there always has to be something more, and everyone's always like, you're doing so well, and you're amazing, and whatever. And in my mind, I'm like, I haven't done half of what I need to do yet. Yeah. Like, just you watch, you know, and you have to have that attitude to be a winner.
Yeah, well, that's good, because then at least we all know that we're still going to be watching you for many years to come. And I'll wrap it up there, because you're getting phone calls and I don't want to take up too much more of your time.
It's all good.
So just remind everyone, so Bulletproof season 2 is now available on Sky and Now TV. And where can they watch it in the States? CW
channel in the States. It's airing tomorrow, I believe, for season 2. So yeah, go and watch it. Enjoy.
Yeah, seriously, you will binge the whole thing. If you started this weekend, you're not going to stop. So have a little look at that. And yeah, thank you so much for doing this, Ashley. I really appreciate it.
No worries, Hannah. Good to speak to you.
You too. Have a lovely rest of lockdown, and I'll see you soon.
Take care. See you later.